And you sort of touched on it a little bit. Why are you running for the position?
Well, that's not really a straight line answer, but let me stick with me on it and I'll try to get to it. Actually, the short Cliff Note version, if you will, was there was an article in the Journal-Gazette back in January which essentially detailed the 43 people who had been murdered in city of Fort Wayne, the one person I think that was murdered in the county, and then there was a 45th person which somehow they couldn't really decide what to do with them. But somewhat typical on Sunday morning, I'm sitting there reading the paper and I'm going through that, and my initial response was, gee, this is such a waste. I mean, certainly some of those 43 people had brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, children. It's a waste from a family perspective, but it was also, I think, a waste for the community, because there must have been some of those people that had skills that could have been used in a more useful manner. I read the article. There was a front page article, and then you flipped it, and inside there was sort of bios about everybody. And then I continued on through the paper that morning and read whatever else. And one of the things I read about was fighting in, I don't know, Syria or Afghanistan or Iraq or someplace. And it occurred to me that there was a lot of similarities between the two, because both people here, a lot of the people here in Allen County who were murdered, and a lot of the problems that are in other parts of the world, is that those people really resolve their disputes sort of by themselves. I don't care what the weapon of choice is. It's a gun, a knife, a roadside bomb, who knows what it may be. But they really don't buy into a system that says, look, you have a dispute, let's see if we can't resolve this amicably. Or not even if you can't resolve it amicably, let's see if we can't resolve it. And if you think about the American litigation system, it's not perfect, but it's a really good system for at least allowing both sides to come forward and express what they believe is their particular point of view, why they are right and why the other person may be wrong. And then you've got a totally independent third party who's making a decision about what happened and what's the best way to resolve it. And a lot of that ties back into my mediation practice, where that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get both sides to come together, talk about what their problems are, and see if there's not some kind of peaceful resolution for that, so things don't get out of hand, because most of the cases that I'm dealing with in my mediation practice are high conflict cases. And so you're trying to get people just to react positively, I guess. So anyway, I was reading the article, and then, like I said, I went on and read about the Mideast or someplace, and I'm thinking to myself, it's strange that these people don't buy into the system. And I'm thinking, well, why don't they buy in? And then I remember there was one part of the article that said, essentially, particularly in the section where they had the bios, and they were talking about the individual people and the status of their case. There was a lot of times there was sort of this underlying theme of, well, people in the neighborhood probably knew a lot more than they were telling the police. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why don't those people come forward and do something? And you can probably say, well, maybe that's a middle-aged white guy's perspective on it. But then I'm sitting there thinking about it, I'm going, well, that's sort of hypocritical of me, because here I'm asking other people to step forward. Well, why in the hell don't you step forward and do something? So I kind of made a decision that morning that, instead of me bitching about everything, I ought to step forward and try to use my skills, whatever they may be, to help, people resolve their disputes in a not peaceful, but let's say nonviolent form. So that's why I'm running.